Hi, I'm Amy, and this is A Star Reads, and I am joined with two of my closest book-loving friends. You've already met Shell with our previous Farseer trilogy, and now you've got Magda looking at us very closely.
Sorry. There was a weird thing on my screen that I couldn't see, so I had to get close to be able to read it.
And Magda, who is famous for my TBRs.
Hi.
So Magda decided she wanted to join us once we started the Liveship Traders, and I was really excited that you could join us. Of course, she realized how slow of a reader Amy is in the process, but I think we're finally ready to talk about chip magic.
Yay!
Woohoo! So I guess you got your book. My book is somewhere.
Well, I had to flip through it so I could try to remember names.
I reread or re-listened to the last third of it on Sunday, and to get ready for our Sunday talk. So I'm hoping I have it all remembered up here.
Me too. So maybe we should do like a quick little synopsis of this for people who have never heard about the Liveship Traders series. And because this is a book that's the beginning of the series, we can talk a little bit about it without spoilers at first. What is the story?
If you don't want me just to read you the back of the book, I
No,
suggest you give the synopsis.
Don't do that.
And I have no visual props, so I can only...
Okay, so multiple perspective book where there's quite a few characters that have something to do with this Vestrit family and this ship called...
Vivacia.
Yeah.
Vivacia, that is a live ship, which is not alive when we first meet the ship, but the whole concept behind these live ships is that it's created with this special type of wood that is magic. And once 3 generations of a family dies on the ship, then the ship becomes alive. It quickens, and it actually has like this masthead that is alive, moves, talks, does all this good stuff. And towards the beginning of this book is when the father, I don't remember his name, Father Vestrit,
Yeah.
he dies. And
Look
the
up
ship,
that name.
Daddy Vestrit.
Captain Vestrit. Go with that.
Okay, Captain Vestrit. He passes away and the ship quickens. Everybody kind of thinks that his daughter, his youngest daughter, who's been on the ship with him through most of her life, and he's trained how to be a sailor, is going to be the one that will take over the ship. However, her mom has different ideas of what she wants to happen, and the father feels very torn. And then, of course, the other players in this are their eldest daughter's husband, who's Kyle Haven.
Yes.
I knew there was a V there somewhere. And then on the ship is he's a mate. He's the mate, right? What's the mate's name?
Starts with a B.
Like Mad Libs.
Oh God, yeah.
Bethsar.
Brennan?
I forgot already.
His story's not super important yet. I mean,
it's there in the beginning. I mean, he has a perspective in the very beginning.
He has perspectives throughout too, but I feel like he wasn't critical to the story yet.
But he thought he was going to be made at least captain of the ship. And you knew that from the very beginning.
Oh, here it is. Brashen.
So Brashen believes he should be made captain of the ship because he's been on it for so long. He's so close to Captain Vestrit. And then there's also another character who we get a perspective of that is this really fun pirate. Fun, and I put that in quotes because he's interesting is what he is. Kenneth, thank you. He's very interesting.
Sorry.
I don't understand where this one's coming in.
He's a pirate. Aren't pirates fun?
I'm sorry.
Aren't pirates supposed to be fun?
I don't know if he was fun. I mean, but yeah, he's a pirate, so we got it.
There's no denying that. So yeah, so we're basically learning about this live ship, and we're learning about these people that want to become the captain of this live ship, and then other characters within this family line and how they play into it. And there's also Kyle Haven's son,
Wintro.
So yeah, Wintro is also a character that comes into the story and has an important role in the story. So ultimately, you've got a lot of different family members or people within the Vestrit line or who are affecting the Vestrit family in some way, and their stories surrounding the ship. That's really what it's about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we can say about it that's spoiler free?
There is another live ship that we're going to get a little bit of his perspective, Paragon. I'm going to guess at some point he'll have a significant role, but he definitely plays into it a little bit here in this first
Just
first
by the
book.
title of the second book.
Yeah, mad ship. Well, and he's considered mad, and you know that from the very beginning. He's considered a mad ship. And what's interesting about him is that we do get an opportunity with his character to learn more about live ships, because Vivacia's new
Right.
herself. She's young. She doesn't really understand what's going on, and she's not getting the guidance she needs. So like we're able to learn more about these ships through the mad ship, through Paragon, in a sense.
Right.
So yeah, what did you guys think of, okay, so spoiler free section, what did you guys think of the book? Ultimately, did you enjoy it? What kind of rating did you give it? We'll start with Magda.
I enjoyed it. I didn't give it a 5. I'm trying to remember. I think it's probably closer to like a 4-star. It's a lot of buildup. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but to me, it's a lot of buildup, and I'm really more interested now that, we've been left with certain things. I'm all going, okay, I want to know what really happened to Paragon. I want to know what's going to happen to Vivacia. I'm going to want to see some bad things happen to a couple of characters.
What do you mean? There's tons of bad things that happen to certain characters.
Yeah, but there's
Just not
still
the right
more
ones. The other ones.
that need a little comeuppance. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't compare it to any others in this trilogy, but in regards to the entire series,
Mhm.
it didn't affect me as emotionally as the Farseer did.
Mhm.
For me, like I said, it's a lot of buildup. It's a lot of building this new part of this world, Bingtown and all of that. So it'll be, for me, it was a good read, but it wasn't excellent. It's definitely mostly build up. The interesting thing for me is I know I haven't read this series before, but I read a different series and I can't think of the name of it and I haven't looked it up, but I could swear to the fact that it had similar strains of this. Like there was a Bingtown and there was a River Wild and there were serpents doing something that I think is going to happen in this one as well. So it'll be interesting to see.
I gave it 5 stars. I actually really enjoyed it, and I wasn't expecting to. And I think I enjoyed it more because I think I had the exact opposite reaction as you, Amanda.
That's
I
okay.
actually felt that the first book in the Farseer trilogy was too much build up for me, and I didn't rate that one. I gave it like 3 or 4.
I agree with that. That first one was a lot of build up as well.
Yeah. So like for me, that one was, there was long parts of it that I just was like, all right, I'm done. But I did not have that with this one, surprisingly. Even though there's a lot of buildup, I felt that there was enough action that I was constantly like wanting to read more. There wasn't whole chapters that I was just like, I'm done. Even if it was just me absolutely hating the chapter because I hated the characters so badly, I was still invested in reading it.
Yeah, I probably had more of an emotional I didn't have an emotional connection to any of the characters. I think that's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably hated 2 of the characters more than I actually liked any of the characters.
Yeah. I'm curious, did you hate the characters in this one more than you hated the characters in the Farseer trilogy? Because there's characters you hate in the Farseer trilogy, but do you hate these ones more?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. But I think it's because we're women.
Characters in Farseer. I think there was only one that I maybe hated, but no, these 2, I'm just.
Yeah, I hated two characters in the Farseer trilogy. Absolutely hated. Who were they?
Galen and Rebel,
Regal.
Regal.
Oh, I hated those two. Yeah.
Regal and Galen. You hate
Yeah.
them.
I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I was expecting to love it. And I was worried that I would either not like it enough because I was expecting so much to love it, or just love it because I was like, oh, I know I'm going to love this. But the reality is I loved the whole experience of reading it. I didn't have as many emotional attachments to the characters. But I wasn't as attached to Fitz as other people tend to be attached to Fitz. I know a lot of people that really, really love Fitz, and I liked Fitz, but I didn't have as close of an attachment to him as other people tend to. But I thought the characters were so interesting in this, and I loved the idea of everything that was happening in this. I did love that I hated those characters so much. Like, they brought such a visceral reaction, and I kind of like books like that. I kind of like when I'm brought to these levels of extreme emotion where I just, I really enjoyed that. I think that an author that can do that is impressive to me. I don't know, felt like it was almost written for me. Just even though everything was so depressing in this, nothing good happens. It felt like it felt like such a relaxing read. It was fun to get back to Robin Hobb. Like, it was fun to just sit back with Rob. I like her writing style because even though it may be sad and she treats her characters like crap, it's very comforting to me to read her writing style for some reason. I don't know why.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so that's my opinion. So I think we should add spoilers in now. And so if you have not read the series and you have not read this book and you do not want to know more about all the details, then this is a point where you'd probably want to cut out. So thank you so much for watching. And from now on, we're going to be talking about all the nitty-gritty dirty stuff. Let's talk about those characters we hate then, since we all feel very strongly about them.
Malta and Kyle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it makes me feel really uncomfortable that I dislike Malta so much because she's just a 12-year-old girl. And yet I'm like,
yeah, but she needs, I don't know.
Yeah, she needs to be smacked upside the head.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Mom. Yeah, she is just something else. It's like, I know it's wrong, but I really, really, really want the, I can't remember what their names are, but the Rainwild people.
The Rainwild people?
Yeah, to come and get her. I mean, I know her mom looks like her mom's never had any control over her. And, they've always kind of let her do whatever because she was a kid or whatever. But now her grandmother has lost control of her as well. She keeps going, wait until my daddy comes home. Wait until my daddy comes home. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't think your daddy's going to be there to save you this time, honey.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's so, just the way she behaves. She's so conniving and she's so self-centered. I mean, she almost is sociopathic in my mind because she can't think of anything but herself.
I think that's what it is she is so self-centered and just wow.
I think there could be a claim for her being sociopathic.
Yeah.
There's not one instance of her caring about anybody
but herself and for her own benefit. And she's manipulative. She's totally manipulative. There's a part of me that really wants the Rainwild people to take her away. But at the same time, I feel bad for that boy because he's just a boy who's found this pretty girl who he's in love with, or not in love with, but who he finds very interesting. And he's just a boy. Like, you want him stuck with her?
Is he just a boy?
Yeah, I think he was 17. 18.
Yeah, a little bit older, but not the
Yeah.
boy that she's conniving for. He's older still.
Oh yeah, he's
early 20s or something.
I'm talking about the Rainwild boy, the boy that met her and was like, oh, she's really pretty. She's flirty, so she gets these guys to think that she's interested. She's 12.
But
so sad that she wants to
show her true colors right away. It pretty much ended with her I'm not going to pay him much mind. I'm going to use it to make the other guy jealous.
But do you think if she was taken away to the Rainwild people that she would actually learn her lesson? Because I don't think she would.
No, I think she'll just be miserable. But that's the bad part of me is just I'm all like, you know what? you keep pushing, you keep not listening, you're open.
You
that
get what you
door.
get.
It's, you're being told and you're not listening. You're being told, don't do this, that things will happen. And she's going to have to learn the consequence of not listening, not,
Zero respect. She has zero respect. Oh,
I wanted them to let her into that ball so bad so she could see everybody's reaction to her, because it totally went over her head that everybody thought she was a prostitute. Like, I wanted so badly for her to escape and get into that ball.
But you know what? She still wouldn't have picked up on the fact that they thought she was a prostitute.
Maybe
yeah, I
not.
don't think she would have. I don't think she would have. She's completely oblivious
Self-centered.
to all that.
She
Yeah.
thought she was just the thing. And she would have played it off some other way in her head, that they were all
probably
jealous or something like that. It wouldn't have come across.
Yeah, you're probably right.
What about probably one of the worst characters I've ever read of in a book, Kyle? I mean, I swear, I don't know if I've hated a character more than I've hated him.
Again, I think it's because we're women.
I don't
But
know.
he's
what
even
to say.
terrible to the men around him. He's just terrible to everybody. He's horrible. He's even worse to women. I mean, obviously, he's horrible. Have you found very many villains or people from books that you've hated as much as you hate him?
Umbridge.
Yeah. I hate Umbridge too.
It's the same thing, though. The same reason that I think I hate Kyle so much is that it's not like Voldemort. It's not like this big evil. It's real. Men having that kind of control over women, or that kind of control and using their power like that. It's something that we see in the world around us. So same with Umbridge, that petty person in control. It just makes you feel so helpless and frustrated.
Yeah.
And
I think you got that right. Even though this is a fantasy book, it's not like he's some like fantasy type character where you realize that, it's just a story. This is like an actual person that you could run into anywhere and have to deal with. And
his character is very true to real life. Like, it's not like he's just some kind of fantasy character. Like, Voldemort is some character who you wouldn't see someone like him in real life. I wanted to throttle this guy, this make-believe guy. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the way he was treating the people around him and how much he would get away with everything. That's what made me even more angry, is that everybody just let him get away with this. And he was behaving in ways that everybody around him could see was completely inappropriate. And they all knew that he was being really inappropriate, and yet they still allowed him to get away with all the things he was doing. And he wasn't even the head of the family, even though he tried to take on that position of being head of the family. In this culture, at least traditionally, women could play that head role. So the mother was really supposed to be the one who was in charge.
So I wonder
power over.
I know.
I wonder what he was like when he was first courting, I can't remember her name, but before he actually married into the family. Because, sometimes you run across a situation where, somebody acts differently beforehand to kind of work their way into the family or whatever, and then they revert to their true colors, afterwards or something. But because
it kind of implied that when she was sleeping next to him and kind of realizing that he was different, and that maybe there was signs of it beforehand, but she just had this idyllic view of him. Now that he had control and he had power, she was starting
to realize it,
seeing who he really was.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that she always wanted someone who was going to take a husband that would take care of her. One of the things that she was most disgusted by was the fact that her father never actually took care of the mother. The mother was having to take care of herself. But that was a choice made by Captain Vestrit and the mother, Ronica.
Ronica. Yeah. Ronica.
That was a choice made by them. But all that the daughter saw, the oldest daughter, whatever her name is.
Kefren something. KEFF something.
All she saw was that the mother was stuck having to take care of these issues, and that there was no man there to take care of them for her. And so she allowed her husband to take on this role of caretaker, but he didn't really get the power trip until he knew he was free to have it, until he saw that I have full responsibility at this point. The sad thing about him, and the thing that makes him even worse, in my opinion, is that not once did he believe he was ever in the wrong. He believed that it was his job, that he was the one who was supposed to enforce these rules, and that he was doing right. Like, he thought he was doing all the right things, even with the way he was treating Wintrow. He never stopped to consider that he was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? I also wonder about the mother, Ronak. What do we say?
Veronica?
Because at some point she let Kyle talk her into talking the captain to change who was going to be, the new captain on the ship. We got that at some point, like right on his deathbed, that everybody was kind of expecting. God, I can't remember any of the character's name. Althea to take over Vestra, and then all of a sudden Kyle is named, and somewhere in that scene area it comes to light that the mother worked behind the scenes to change the captain's mind, to change it over to Kyle. Yeah, I don't know why she did that. That wasn't very smart.
No, it wasn't smart. And she did think that she was doing what was best, because she really thinks that her daughter shouldn't be on the ship anymore, shouldn't be screwing around playing the sailor game, and should be at home learning how to take care of the farm, and also making herself available to good marriages and stuff like that. So her mom thinks she's doing what's right for her daughter, because she thinks this whole sailing thing is a joke. She thinks what her daughter's doing is screwing around, basically, not taking responsibility in any way.
Yeah.
And she regrets that fast.
Yes, she does.
This sounds so terrible, but I was kind of happy that happened. I mean, I don't wish ill on people, but she kind of deserved to see how, I was like, okay, I'm kind of glad she sees how bad of a choice this was. But at the same time, it went to the extreme. Like, it's too bad. Like, it's too much, because it feels like you can't come back from this. In one hand, I was like, okay, well, that's what happens, Veronica. This is why you shouldn't have made this hasty of a horrible decision. But at the same time, I was like, oof. But the results
and if she hadn't done that, we wouldn't have this book in this series. So
I guess that's a good point. So what did you guys feel about Kenneth?
He's a pirate.
Yeah, he's a pirate. Like, he's got his moment. Well, no, not really.
Yeah. No, he doesn't. He's a pretty bad person too.
Yeah.
Like, the whole time.
Yeah.
I guess one of the things I like about him is, when you read a lot of books about pirates, they always make the pirates out to be really, like I said, fun, exciting, interesting. And even though they're bad guys, you still kind of root for them because they're funny, they're charismatic, they're something. I liked seeing a pirate that was really what an actual pirate would be like. A really crappy person. Like, I really liked that.
That's why I laughed when you said fun, because he's not your typical fiction pirate. He's like what a pirate really would be.
Yeah.
We get this romanticized view of pirates, especially like if you read them in romance, because then there's always some nugget of good in them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a nugget of good in him. And then his paramour, we'll call her his paramour.
That's not what he calls her.
Huh?
I said that's not what he calls her.
No, I know, but I can't.
Just being generous.
I'm trying to think language a little bit here, but she's actually, to me, she's more interesting than he is.
Yeah.
Especially toward the end.
Yeah, she really gets into that whole being the villainess in the end there. It's just, wow.
And she's good at it.
She is. She really is. And she's really having fun with it.
And she's also intelligent, She's smart. Well, minus the whole loving the pirate thing.
I know. And the kind of devotion she has towards him is it's really kind of creepy and weird considering her personality and what we're getting to see of her and how strong she is in some ways and had the ambition that she has. I don't get her undying devotion to Kenneth because
it's more obsessive.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm remembering at the end there, when they okay, big spoiler, when they take over Vestra and the absolute hate
Elevation.
and almost jealousy she has.
Yeah, towards the ship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, towards the ship, because there's some kind of weird connection going on there between Kenneth and Vestra that
Or Vivacia.
oh, sorry. Thank you, Vivacia. Is going to actually make the next book very interesting.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that relationship because she's finally giving Vivacia what she wants, what she's been wanting this whole time, which is to be recognized and noticed and paid attention to. She's been so miserable because she's not getting the attention that she's wanted. Because she's a baby, she's brand new. She has these memories as these other people who lived on her ship, but she's finally her own new ship, her own self. She doesn't know how to be herself on her own.
No, she's getting no guidance whatsoever.
And he all of a sudden swoops in, totally like Don Juan's her, and is like, "Hey, baby, how's it going?" And she's like, "Oh." Oh, it's
I like that. Don Juan's her.
I'm curious to see where that storyline goes.
I was just thinking that Kenneth's a really bad guy, but he shows inklings, small inklings, occasionally, where you think there might be something more, but he tries to push it away. And one of those things is his feelings for her.
For Vivacia, yeah.
No, not Vivacia.
Oh.
His feelings for his paramour.
But I thought mostly that was his wizard wood.
That too, but there are points, there are small moments where he wants to reach out to her, he immediately shuts himself down.
Yeah, you're right.
Their relationship does seem really weird. I sense that she felt that from him. Like she understands him. So she knows that he actually does care about her. He just won't let himself care about her.
Because if he didn't, he wouldn't have ever let her onto the ship in the first place and kept her there.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's right, but I feel like
we always know you can't go into a relationship thinking you can change the other person. So
I don't think she wants to, though. She doesn't want to change him.
But she wants. No, you're right.
She doesn't want to change him. She's totally fine with the way he treats her.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I think that she feels there's more to it.
Her, she'll take any kind of any way he treats her as long as she can be with him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's shown her a lot of excitement at this point because now she's on this pirate ship and she gets to be pretty badass. So I guess I could see that there's perks to it for her, more so than staying at the brothel.
Yeah, well, a lot of things are probably much better than staying at a brothel.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now let's go to Wintrow. So Wintrow, that is the saddest character of them all. He was the saddest character to me.
He is, he has such naivety. Anyway, it's I'm thinking especially later on, and
when he lets the slaves go.
Yeah, that too. Even before that, even before he's captured, he escapes like the first time from Vivacia. He's like walking around whatever that town is, and he's just not getting it. His constant thought of like, I'm going to go back to the monastery and I'm going to walk back, and he thinks it's all going to be good because he is
a priest in training,
working to be a priest for the Saw and for the monastery, and so everybody's going to think, he's fine, and and then he gets caught up in everything, even worse than what he did with his father on the ship.
Over and over. And you're just kind of like, boy, learn from your lessons.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
Well, he's
sad.
really young, really young and
He's only
sheltered.
what,
He was
15,
lived in a
14, 15?
monastery. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like he's almost the complete opposite of his sister. And
Mhm.
yet you still want to hit him upside the head and go, wake up.
And it just keeps getting worse and worse. I mean, not one good thing happens to this poor boy. And he was
No.
sent away originally, and he didn't want to be, like everything that's happened to him, everything that's ever happened to him has never been his choice. But he made the best out of his original situation, and he found that he had a talent for it. And yet now he's being punished. And I'm just like, this poor kid's just continuously being punished over and over and over again. He didn't do anything wrong. He never did anything wrong. I'm just like, it's so sad. So sad.
I
Breaks
know.
my heart. I don't know what's going to happen with his character ultimately. Do you think he's going to become some kind of sailor on Vivacia? And I mean, he's determined to, so he has a connection with Kenneth. That's what's strange. Kenneth saw him, and they both felt that connection. And so Kenneth wouldn't kill him because of it, and was like, well, we'll just keep him on board or what have you. I mean, we haven't really got that far because it's going to be in the next book, but they had like an instant connection, those two, which I think is kind of odd. Like, is it going to be
that?
Oh yeah, there was a part where he even like says like they locked eyes or something. Not like a connection like in a romantic sort of sense. Not like how he's having with Vivacia.
No, I know that.
That's partially why he's not willing to kill the boy, and he's allowing the boy to make all these commands and demands.
Maybe because
okay. I see it.
Winthrop is already like hooked up with Vivacia, right? Because he's the one family member that like livened her. So maybe Kenneth is feeling that part of it. Winthrop and Vivacia are in each other's minds and so on and so forth, that maybe that's where he got that from.
Oh, I found the section where they talk about that.
Did it say like the connection part?
Yeah. For an instant, he seemed to recognize him. And Winthrop, too, felt an uncanny sense of having been here, done this, and spoken these words before. They did.
It's
They
fated.
they felt that they were somehow bound together.
It's meant to be. The three of them are going to be running the ship. Kenneth, Winthrop, and Vivacia. So where does Althea and Brashen come in?
Not for a while. I'll be honest with you. Okay, I don't know if it's a spoiler, but I actually think that the next book, Mad Ship, is actually going to be about Vivacia going mad.
Not about Paragon.
Right. I think Paragon, we'll learn more about Paragon, but we already know he's mad. But when you listen to Vivacia, especially towards the end, and her finding her independence from everybody, really, and some of the other things that are said, that's where I think it's going to go. I think that she's going to do things that aren't normal for the normal live ships.
Because I was thinking, my guess is that Brashen and Althea were gonna get together with Holly, Heather, what's her name? And the Paragon.
The random girl that we have no idea where she's from or what she has to do.
The woodworker. So I was thinking she's gonna fix Paragon, and Althea and Brashen are gonna, because Brashen too. Yeah, so there's something like that is going to happen with Paragon.
I think so too. I think you're right.
Because Brashen already has a relationship with Paragon, and so does Althea.
Yeah.
And so does this new girl. What is her name?
I don't remember. I was actually looking for that earlier because
Angel, Heather.
She's a really weird
Holly?
character.
Something like that.
Oh, but Torg is the third person to hate.
Oh, Torg. Who? Oh, he is just such a jerk. Torg was Kyle's
Oh yeah.
But see, he's another one of those, he is a villain. So he's almost not as bad because he is a villain. You expect that from him, right? So it doesn't seem quite as bad as it feels coming from Kyle or coming from Malta.
And he got his due.
Yeah, he got his comeuppance. Oh, but Kyle's alive. No.
I know. And Winthrop is keeping him that way. Is like, after everything, he's all like, no, you can't kill him. You need to keep him alive. And so he's taking care of Kenneth and Kyle.
Well, it's his father.
That's not, yeah, I was saying, it's not surprising, especially the way Wintrow is. He's
Yeah.
very, like you said, he's the opposite of Malta. He's not going to just allow his father to be killed off in front of him if he's able to stop it, especially after freeing the slaves on the ship and the reaction that what happened because of that, and knowing that he was the cause of that in a lot of ways. Like, he's not gonna allow this to happen because he couldn't handle knowing that he was the cause of that and was the cause of people's death because of it. So I don't, but I don't see what Amber. I knew it was something like that. Holly, Heather. Some kind of like mineral or plant or something. Honey. Yellow colored something. Amber, okay. She's an interesting one. After hearing all the descriptions, I want to see her jewelry. Yeah.
The beads that she gave Paragon, I'd love to see those.
From the sound of it, it's pretty incredible. There's so many different storylines in here. She even got like the situation with Veronica and the house, and the fact that they could lose the property, and that they're indebted to the Rainwild traders. The fact that they've never actually taken up their ability. What's going on? Sorry, we've got neighborhood excitement going on here, guys.
Woo!
They've never taken up the ability to go up the Rainwilds, because now that they have a live ship, they have the ability to do that. The only reason they don't do it is because of the death. I mean, I know that the death of Veronica's sons was really traumatizing, but at the same time, that's the only thing that could really save them financially, save the family home. Yeah. Do you think that at some point they are going to take that route, going to start trading up the Rainwild?
I would assume that we're going to learn more about them at some point, one way or another, either with Malta or with them.
Again, jumping way ahead. After the next trilogy, the trilogy after that is the dragon one. For some reason, and maybe it's based on this other series that I read, and we haven't really touched on the serpents, but there's that group of serpents that are looking to follow She Who Remembers or whatever. If they ever make it back up the Rainwild River and up into the Rainwild, they're the ones that will turn into dragons. At least that's what I predict. And I think that's what that, and I think that's what that trilogy will be about, whether it's Paragon or Vivacia, but we're going to follow one of them up the river to the Rainwild area.
Well, and Vivacia's the one who remembers, or She Who Should Remember, or something like that. We see her starting to remember something, and that's why she's so freaked out by the serpents. But what does she remember?
Yeah, there's some kind of connection with Wizardwood, dragons, and serpents.
Yeah.
Don't know what.
Don't know what. We won't know that for a good 6 books or something like that. But
I hope we find out what the connection is sooner, because I mean, she's really questioning it.
I think that's where it's heading, which obviously is not really. It is and it isn't a spoiler because it's just a guess. But
we like to do predictions.
Predictions are good. Predictions are good because we don't know for sure.
I am intrigued by the serpents. And like I said, I read the last third of the book this week. And so there was a section in there where there is a group of serpents together, and they're not like the big mean serpents that are, killing everybody, but they're following one of them because they thought that one was She Who Will Remember or whatever. And as you said, you think it's actually Vivacia, which actually makes sense. They're not bad yet, but they made their own. One of them thought that the big mean serpents are actually themselves. If they don't get back to wherever they need to get to, that they'll lose their control on themselves or something to that effect. So
it sounds like those are the ones that forget. Like the big bad serpents are the ones who have forgotten, who are not on their path. Yeah.
Right.
They're all bad though, in the sense that they all eat people. They still call the ships the provider.
Yes, they do.
eat the dead slaves. They're all still bad. It's just that the ones that have forgotten have reverted completely to animal. They don't speak anymore. They can't communicate,
Right.
and they are just, they fight with each other. They're mindless beasts essentially. Whereas the ones that are following the prophet, they're following him because he still remembers things, and
Yeah.
that
Right.
keeps them able to communicate and whatnot.
So now that the others have fallen out of the group, there's only 3 of them left. Those
Mhm.
others will probably become mindless.
Yeah.
Is there
now.
only 3 left? I didn't pick up on
There's,
that, but
there's only 3 left.
Yeah.
okay. It's funny. I was actually sitting here thinking, and I'm more intrigued by those 3 characters and by like Paragon than I am by the human beings.
Like all the non-human characters.
I do too. I actually really like Althea though. I like Wintra too.
Yeah.
My
Yeah, I
only
do.
issue with her is I don't like how she's treating Brashen,
Right.
but that's just me personally. Like, I don't have a problem with her character. I liked her.
Yeah, I get that too, because it's not even like Brash is treating her in a way that's inappropriate, or he's being very respectful of her, and he just wants her companionship because he cares about her. He's known her for so long, and he also wants to see her well. He has feelings for her, but he's never done it in a way that's inappropriate or rude, or like,
Right.
you look at Kenneth with his paramour, and you see how awful he is to her, and how terrible he is. He's so misogynistic, and the way he treats her is awful. But you see Brashen's being very kind and sweet, and he really just genuinely cares about Althea and wants to make sure she's safe and well. But he also allows her to be who she is, and
Yeah.
yet she just is so she's so mean to him.
I
On the
think
flip side, she's honest with him. She tells
Yeah.
him that she only wants, she doesn't acknowledge or
Yeah.
say that she has feelings for him. We know that she kind of does, but at the same time, as a woman, she has that choice to be like, I told you I don't want it to go any further than this. I just
Oh,
want
yeah.
us to be friends. So you can't really blame her for it either.
No,
Like,
right.
I do want them together. I think it would be cute since he does like her, but at the same time, I acknowledge that as a woman, she has that choice to,
Oh,
take or
absolutely.
not.
well,
Yeah.
I think they will end up together, but I think she is probably a little scared or worried that if they do really connect up, that she'll lose some of her
Freedom.
her freedom, because then it's a man again, and men take over, and I don't think he would, but I don't think she's there yet.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. I think she's going to have some major trust issues for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do understand, where she's coming from and having, those feelings. Not that she doesn't trust him, but she doesn't trust how other people would treat her, especially if she was with him or if they knew she was a woman or, what have you. And I get that. It's just the romantic in me. What can I say? I just feel like
I
he's
know.
being one of the most decent men that you see in these books about these characters from a long time ago. I feel like he just keeps getting pooped on.
I mean, like her first sexual experience. I mean, she's been shit on by men for like her whole entire life.
Yeah.
And the one person she did trust ends up betraying her by giving her ship to someone else. Like, she's got some major trust issues to get
She
past.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
she does. And it's understandable. I do like Althea. I see how she needed to grow. You can see that she was very immature in the way she thought about things, and that she's learning a lot and having to learn it very, very quickly. I like seeing this trajectory of her, and I kind of want to see her just be stronger without Vivacia and make it on her own. And then, eventually, who knows what's going to happen. But I kind of like seeing this growth of hers without the crutch of her family and her father and the ship, and being forced to become an adult on her own. I kind of like it.
Well, so it'll be interesting to see what happens, because as we know, when she left, she is on a live ship, and they put her into town, and then they're going to bring her back on board as a woman, and then let her take over as a mate.
And I'll be honest, I kind of liked the son. I was like, I kind of think he's kind of fun. Little love triangle here. I don't mind it. I actually think he's kind of cute.
Well, and Brashen is still on the other ship, right? He's doing the thing on that other merchant ship. So we could see something like that happening.
What do we think is going to happen with Kyle? Like, what's the purpose of keeping him alive? I mean, from Robin Hobb's perspective, like, what's the purpose of keeping Kyle? What's he going to accomplish at this point? Because he doesn't have any power anymore.
He's conniving, so he'll figure something out. He's our main bad guy, so he's got to stay in it. I mean, it's got to have something to do with the ship.
He's still married to Kefria, so he's still basically in control of the family. I'll be interested to see what Kefria thinks when she sees Wintro again with his tattoos on his face.
Yeah.
All the things that Kyle did to Wintro. Like, will she actually stick up for her children?
I think she might. She's definitely different at the end of this book than she was at the beginning. She definitely is not wearing rose-colored glasses when it comes to him anymore.
She still feels like one of the weakest characters, though.
She is one of the weakest characters. Well, other than Malta.
Well, Malta is not a weak character. She's as you said,
morally
weak.
She's morally weak.
Morally weak.
Morally weak, yes.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, she is one of the weaker ones, but she's trying. She is growing.
And we'll see. She is trying to take on more of the responsibilities that she was supposed to take on from Ronica, that she kind of wanted just Kyle to take over for her. So I'm glad to see she's finally stepping up to the plate a little bit.
And she's trying to control Malta. She's not doing the greatest job still, but she sees it's a problem.
Because she doesn't see the bad parts of Malta. Ronica sees it. We see it, obviously, because we're reading the book, but
I think by the end she does.
Did she?
She handled the boy thing pretty dang well.
Yeah. I feel like that whole situation with the Rainwild traders is very touchy. You gotta be very careful. And the fact that Malta doesn't even Kefria was frustrating me because she was kind of like, well, just tell them no. They don't get my daughter. And it's like, you guys have made this promise to these people that has been in place for so many years. I get that you don't want it to be the case, but it has been the case. This promise has been made. You have to honor this relationship. Otherwise, really bad things are going to happen. Yeah. And I think she's starting to get that in the end, but it just felt like her and Malta just were kind of like, oh, well, screw those people. It felt so like flippant. And I'm like, these people are scary people. You have to don't screw around with these people. They have a lot more power than they may come across as having. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be a lot more having to do with the Rainwild traders.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's not going to be good. Like, I have a feeling it's going to be bad.
No, I agree. I think the whole treaty and the relationship between the Bingtown people and the Rainwild people has been so complacent for so long that they've forgotten how serious it is. And I think things are now going to happen that will wake them up, is one way to put it, I guess. I think some things are going to happen and it's going to get interesting.
Well, I mean, and because politically all the way around, things are getting really dangerous. They're getting really dangerous because that one guy who, I don't know what that leader dude.
That keeps wanting to sell
Satrap.
The satrap. Who is like completely disregarding all the treaties, all the agreements, and he's trying to get the militia from.
Yeah, the one that starts with a J.
Too many names. There's too many different names. There's a lot happening in Bingtown itself that is causing a lot of tension, and that tension is going to explode in some way. And they have said that there's possibility for war. It'll be interesting to see where that goes, because I think everything's going to come to a head at some point.
Jamalia.
Jamalia.
I'm going to go the opposite route, though, and say that I think that the Bingtown traders are actually going to become further allied with the Rainwild people to take care of all the other bad people.
Only if they take Malta.
I don't know about that one yet, but
You don't wish Malta on them.
Mhm.
Who
No.
wants to wish
But-
Malta on anybody?
Mm-mm.
Maybe on
No.
Kenneth.
Yeah, seriously. But then his paramour would probably kill Malta in her sleep.
Yeah, probably.
I think it all depends on the position that the Bingtown traders take. Some of those Bingtown traders are taking the position of allowing the newcomers to take
But not
power.
many. Not many though. There's only
I
the
think-
one key one, I thought. And then
No,
most
there's a
of
lot
the
more
other-
than that.
It's not just one. It's not like a ton, but there was more than one. They're just more
Well,
quiet
there's
about
one
it.
main
There's-
one,
Yeah,
the friend
yeah,
or
there's
whatever.
one main one. The others are a bit more quiet about it.
it'll be interesting. We'll see how this goes. Anything else? Any other predictions? Any other crazy thoughts, feelings, comments before my son starts coming into this window?
Nope.
No, I think we kind of covered everything.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. I agree with you, Magda. I can't wait to see what happens with Paragon because he's becoming very interesting. I think he's becoming a very interesting character. And I
Well,
can't
and
wait
I-
to see how he becomes involved in all this.
And I really want to know what his backstory is.
Yeah.
What really happened?
Yeah,
You
because I
know?
don't think he intentionally killed people on the ship.
No, I don't think so
Doesn't
either. But
Yeah.
it definitely, something happened there, and I want to know what it was.
Well, I think we'll find out. I'm excited.
Hurry up and start reading it. I'm not going to start until you're at least halfway through.
Oh, see, I wait till she finishes it.
Oh, well, I thought about it and it's like at the top of my downloaded list, but I'm all like, I'm not touching that thing because then I'm going to have to reread the whole thing before we do this next talk. So,
See,
Yeah.
But if I start reading that, I'm just going to want to read that and I won't get all my other books done.
The key is to wait till she's finished reading it, and that gives you a couple days till you actually
Yeah.
have to talk about
Actually,
it.
you're right, Shell. You're right. I'm going to wait. I think I even did that with this one. And I waited until she started and got a certain point and see where we are now.
I started reading it after she finished it.
I read The Inheritance.
I have
So
not
what?
read it yet.
Magda, what happened there?
I'm sorry. Once I have a date for when we're actually going to discuss it, I'll read it at that point.
We'll discuss it with Madship.
Oh, well, then I've got mega time. Okay, I just heard Mom laughing in the background.
Thanks, Mom. We don't need help from the kids.
Thank you, Peanut Gallery.
Anyways, let's finish this out.
Okay.
Okay, so stay tuned for Madship. That will come out at some point. We'll talk about that at some point. And thank you so much, Shell and Magda, for joining me on this buddy read. It's been a lot of fun, and it's fun to hear what you guys think is going to happen, as well as what you guys think of these characters. So we'll see how it goes going forward. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more of all three of us lovely ladies. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.